Hey, good morning, everyone. David here, and it's a beautiful Wednesday morning. Well, it's pretty beautiful. I mean, it's not pouring rain out, but it's I'm taking this week off from the gym, from normal training, and I'm actually just getting into more of a did some hot yoga this morning, and I'm going to try to do a little bit more of that this week, and just give my body a chance to slow down, relax. And it's, the one thing I've noticed that, and I've had this conversation with numerous people over the years, and even just recently, I'm working with a few people that are that have a lot of injuries they're trying to work through. But the problem is that it's just the idea of backing off in training almost seems like it's a sense of failure. That it's just they're so freaked out that they can't go to the gym and what may happen. And if you look at it's interesting because if you look at a competitive athlete, they operate on something called a periodization model, and a periodization model simply is periods of time allocated for different types of training, different training intensities, preseason, postseason, during season. There's different ways of loading, unloading of stress, adaptation phases. So there's a whole scientific aspect of looking at getting the body to adapt, getting the body to recover, and moving the body steadily towards a goal. But the armchair, or not the armchair athlete, the non-competitive athlete, the average fitness enthusiast, is a bit more crazy, I find, because there's no let up, there's no off season. It's either full tilt or nothing, and it's extraordinary because if you actually look at periodization models and look at the word period, P-E-R-I-O-D, periodization models. There's a gentleman named Tudor Bompa, T-U-D-O-R-B-O-M-P-A, Tudor Bompa. And he was actually kind of the father of periodization. And he really wrote some incredible books and articles on really how the best way to get the body to adapt, or on an annual plan. Not on like the 6 weeks because I need to get sexy plan, but on an annual plan, taking the body over the course of a year and developing it. And it's actually, he wrote some pretty great stuff. And now I'm getting ready to train for a year. I'm training for the Nationals. So I need to plan my year out in advance. Which is kind of cool. So I have a good macro view, and periodization is done in macro views, meso views, and micro views. So a macro view is a view of the entire year, right? It's the overview of the entire program. So I break it up into segments of training weeks, training months. Then the meso view, the mesocycles are actually the blocks of training. So I may have a 6-week block, and then a 2-week block, and then a 4-week block, and a 6-week block. So that's the mesocycles, each cycle within the whole macro view. And the microcycle is the weeks, right? So macro is the big picture. A mesocycle is the individual blocks. I may be doing, like training for 30 days on one style of training. I may go 2 weeks heavy. I may do a week of rest. So, so those are all mesocycles. And then the microcycle is what I do inside each every week. So you can plan an entire year that way and build in your holidays, build in kids events, and really think ahead so that you're not tripped up by, we're going camping this year. Well, you're going camping this summer. You knew you're going to go camping last summer, this summer, right? You knew that already. And yet we don't prepare for it mentally, so we get thrown off by the fact that, well, what do? I'm going camping, and I don't have access to the gym, and I can't carry a freaking Swiss ball with me everywhere I go, and we get caught up in this craziness. But if you planned ahead and thought about it, you would have actually built in and said, okay, I can control my diet, and I'm going to do some hikes, I'm going to do some runs first thing in the morning, I'll bring a TheraBand out, I'll do some exercises to keep my hips strong, to keep my posture strong, but I'm going to go enjoy my week or my 2 weeks of holidays, and this is my downtime. And I build that in knowing that I can control my diet, and I'm not here to be perfect. And I know myself well enough that I'm going to get back on the saddle and just back into it when I get back home. So you can actually plan your holidays and your kids' events into your periodization scale. And the reason why I'm having this conversation is that I know people get a little freaked out when something interrupts their path because they're so intent. I need to get to the gym. I need to train this many times. And part of the driver for that is that, one, again, it's not planning well enough. It's not thinking ahead. There's no big picture to it. It's all very micro viewed. But there's a certain feeling that we get, and the feeling is that the offloading of stress. So we're stressed out, and stress means what? Well, it means turtle or fight or flight, right? So collapse and die, right? Huddle into a little terrified little ball, or run away or fight, right? But it really, for the most part, it's telling us to do something. So when we get into the stress circuit, we're generally propelled into, if we're lucky enough, into exercise, and we can go train, and it feels good. The problem only comes with that being the medium of stress reduction. If that is the only way you know how to reduce stress, when that's taken away from you, as it will periodically, people tend to get a little nuts because they have no way to reduce that stress load or to dissipate the hormones, the neuropeptides floating in the body that are giving them the signal of movement. Right? And there's something called the HPA axis, the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal gland. It's a whole stress circuit. And that we need more alternatives other than just exercise and how to work with the stress circuit. Because otherwise we just get into burnout and craziness, and everybody around us will end up paying for it at some point, right? And it really kind of screws up our own life as well. So when we look at if we plan our year in advance, we can reduce the stress and the uncertainty of not being able to get to the gym or not being able to get into our training by planning in advance. We can also look at other alternatives other than if I can't train the way I like to train. What are the feelings I get from training that feel really good? If it's a really sore ass from training and really sore abs and really sore shoulders, like your shoulder blades are kind of tight and that great posture feels good, then you can do that with 3 exercises in your off days when you're out traveling. You can do bridging exercises, you can do some shoulder girdle work, you can do some planking based stuff, and do a few simple things that really keep the muscles in tone. It doesn't move them forward, but it doesn't allow you to go backwards too far either. So you can actually plan that out in advance as well. But again, I really urge you to look at other forms of training like meditation, like doing yoga, learning how to do yoga. I practice something called Qigong, and it's a moving meditation, and it's actually quite beautiful. Very, very relaxing. Really brings my brain waves levels down quite a lot. Allows me to really center myself when I'm stressed out. So, I have so I have my yoga that I do. I have my Qigong. I have meditation. I have my strength training. And soon to be, I'll have breakdance or hip hop and popping. And it's something I'm going to start practicing starting this year. It's just kind of fun. But I'm looking for other ways to move and other ways that don't require a gym and don't require the strength training component all the time. So I guess the biggest part of this conversation really is looking at I want to be able to plan my fitness life, and I want to plan it into the rest of my life because it's my lifestyle. But I don't want to knee-jerk react my way into it. So, I'm competing next year, but I don't want my whole year to be just about the competition. I want this whole year to be next year of training to be about fun and learning new things, right? So, I want to get more into yoga and become better and more fluid and more flexible in some of the yoga poses, because it's good for me. It's good for my brain. It's good for my body. I want to get into popping and breakdancing because it looks like fun. And it's powerful, and I like that kind of explosive stuff. I used to train martial arts years ago, so this is a really good alternatives because nobody's trying to kick me in the face. And I'm getting more into my meditation. But I can plan it in, and I can build this overview of my year so that I'm not stressing my body, I'm not stressing my mind about not getting into the gym, and it's not so frantic, right? Because really, having a lifestyle, especially a fitness lifestyle, with how busy most of our lives are, it's really probably not a bad idea to really plan ahead, to really look at the overview like an athlete would, and actually plan some variety into our training so that we become very well rounded. We manage the stress that we're under day to day because most of us are under a fair amount of it, and we actually get to enjoy this lifestyle. So that if we plan ahead, fail to plan or fail to plan. Plan to fail. And if we do this in advance, we think with these periodization models, we can build in some downtime. We can, say if I'm working hard for, the next 4 or 5 weeks of training, then I need to take a week off. Those of you doing the 90-day challenge, of course, at the end of the 90-day challenge, is you really need to plan some time off, right? And just give your body a break. Doesn't mean you have to do anything, but go cycling, go running, do some yoga, just get away from out of the strength component for a little bit. Be active in a different manner, and then come back into it and then rebuild it back in. So, a week or two outside of the training if you choose to, which I recommend, if you've been training hard, and then start planning ahead. So, after the program's done, let's just look at what am I going to do for the month of July? What am I going to do for the month of August? What am I coming in September? The kids are back in school. What does the first 2 weeks look like? What does October look like? What does November look like? Do I have a goal for December? Right? And you start planning these things ahead, and you find that it really makes for a much more powerful lifestyle. And it really reduces a lot of stress because your brain's already planned for a lot of the potential obstacles that may occur. So. Anyhow, that's my morning babble. My coffee's just kicking in, and I hope you guys have an extraordinary day. Okay, bye.